It concerns all of us. It has to do with air flight.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, thank you for the privilege of bringing about this motion today. As Mr. Speaker says, it concerns all of us.
Honorable Billy, approach the chair.
Mr. Speaker, the House notes the exorbitant rising cost of airline tickets in the country, currently affecting millions of Nigerian families.
Honorable Oshoba,
disturbed that this Christmas season is traditionally a time for reunion, reflection, and joy. However, it now looms under the weight of economic challenges that have made travel increasingly prohibitive. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable David, please approach the chair.
Mr. Speaker, concerned that the soaring cost of domestic air travel have created a barrier preventing many from returning to their ancestral homes, where shared laughter and family connections are meant to thrive and improve our self-worth.
This doesn't help.
Mr. Speaker, this motion is an urgent call to airline operators. Aware that the challenges faced by airline operators, ranging from high jet A1 fuel prices to excessive currency fluctuations, I implore this honorable House to consider the broader implications of their pricing strategies. Concerned that the insatiable pursuit of profit should not come at the expense of life, security, and cultural bounds that define us as Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, cognizant that by temporarily reducing fares during this critical period, it will demonstrate a commitment to social responsibility and national solidarity. Such an act will reaffirm to all Nigerians that the journey home is a fundamental right accessible to every Nigerian regardless of financial status. I urge the federal government, through the Honorable Minister of Aviation and the broader executive branch, that the Nigerian people find themselves at a pivotal moment that demands immediate action. The unprecedented rise in air travel costs is not mere anomaly in the market. It poses a direct threat to security, to life, to tradition that unite our society during this cherished festive moment. Further urge the government to show decisiveness as they did last year with road transporters in providing support. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that similar assistance be extended to the aviation sector, which plays a critical role in both family reunification and national connectivity. The House resolves to establish a transparent assessment mechanism to create a system to determine the true minimum necessary operational cost for airlines throughout the Christmas season. 2, to provide targeted subsidy grants or palliative subsidies that bridge the gap between sustainable operational cost and the accessible fare ceiling established for the public. 3, to collaborate with the CBN to work closely to prioritize the allocation of foreign exchange at concessionary rates for airline operators. 4, to refer this motion to the House Committee on Aviation to interface with airline operators and the executive branch and report back to the House within 7 days for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Ugu 1. Mark Iset is my name. PhD, speaking for the good people of Uyo, Uran, Nsratai, Ibesipo Sultan, Federal Constituency. A proud son of Akwa Ibom State, the first state to operate the most effective, reliable airline in Nigeria, undisputed. Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleague, the mover of this motion. This motion today goes a long way to tell Nigerians that of the truth, the 10th National Assembly It's not just being Christian, the People's Assembly, but in action, we are of the truth, the People's Assembly. We feel the pulse of Nigerians. We feel their pains. And as such, we are bound to make decisions that will alleviate the suffering of Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't want to join issues with my last two colleagues here. I think if I'm not mixing word, they are trying to tell us that they are into the business, and it conflicts with their oath of office, that they will do justice, protect the image of Nigerians without conflicting with their personal interest. But Mr. Speaker, having said that, that was on a lighter note. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, the question is, why is it always in a festive period? January to March, the airfare Nigerians are paying right now was not what was paid January to June. Mr. Speaker, this is clear exploitation by these operators, and also capitalizing on the insecurity situations on our routes by land, that Nigerians nowadays, because of the insecurity, prefer to travel by air. And you can see a lot of traffic on our routes. The operators are exploiting, just using this opportunity to exploit us and Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, I think in addition to the prayers that the Minister of Aviation should make to interface with the committee oversighting this and call these operators to order. We cannot close our eyes and feel we do not know what is happening. This is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. It is the same. There have not been any increase in ATK, the fuel used by air operators. The same pay unit price they were buying in January is the same amount they are buying now in December. So for them to tell us it is because of the increase in air, the fuel, it is unacceptable. So I have the mandate of my constituents, Mr. Speaker, to support this motion, that this House should also support this motion to see the light of the day. Thank you.
Items that can exacerbate the increase of the price of any commodity vis-a-vis that of the airlines is number one, the operating cost of the airline, which primarily has to do with the fuel that the airplane uses. And for the past 1 year, even 2 years, Mr. Speaker, there is stability in the prices of this particular commodity, which is the up to 80% requirement in the operation of our airlines. What the airlines operators in Nigeria have done in the past 12 hours is completely uncalled for. And I stand with the content of this very motion that our operators, airline operators, should be called to order. I mean, if all of the commodities that we use in Nigeria within this period, festive period, equally decides to increase their prices, what will become of every single Nigerian? They should not lead in this direction. I equally join my voice with that of my colleague, and of course, and I will appeal to the Parliament to summon the aviation minister to give further insight on what has led to the increment in the prices of our airline ticket. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When we raise motions here, the ministries deem it unnecessary to even carry out the motions we raise.
Jonathan Befi, and I represent the people of Karu, Kefi, Kokona Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, we should be sensitive to the fact that we're in a capitalist society, and aviation in this case is a business. Now, as a government, can we overstretch by regulating to a degree what these people charge? We must take into cognizance that to run an airline, when you're looking at the spare parts, you're looking at all the various components that go in to making an aircraft safe. Most of them are imported into this country. When you look at the manpower needed to actually maintain an aircraft. Most of these things are imported. So when you put all these components together, and don't forget, if an aircraft, you buy tickets for an aircraft, and let's say the aircraft is a 100-seater, and only 5 people or 10 people buy tickets, it is expected that that plane will fly. How does the operator cover his costs? So we must always weigh it properly and not just jump into the arena. So my own opinion is that we should be very circumspect on this matter. We cannot jump into regulating air cost prices because there are variables that I believe are technical, and we need a greater in-depth analysis before we can take such a decision. That's my position, right, Honorable Speaker.
But I must direct that the mover of the motion is not asking.
Subsidize road transport, you might as well subsidize rail and all these other things. Don't forget, unlike rail that is being run by a government outfit, if it were a government outfit that were having this business, is fine. We already know the state of our economy and our finances, and to begin to subsidize transportation, I do not think for our physical regime and for physical discipline is the right way to go. That's my honest opinion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Let's hear all
provided for this sector. Now, the other thing I want to say is that as a parliament, we should look at the major cause of this increase in airfare. Why are we experiencing this? In fact, we expect that in a few weeks, those who want to fly to Lagos, Port Harcourt, or Owerri, or Kano are likely to pay up to 500,000 naira for a seat. You also know that in economics, demand and supply determine the price of goods and services. The pressure on the airline, particularly this period, is massive. And we do not have enough airlines to fly passengers across the country. One question we should also be asking ourselves, what are we doing as a government? Where is our Nigerian Airways? What has happened to the government airline? Other countries, even in Africa, Ethiopian Airline is about one of the best in the world today if you talk about cargo business. So why are we unable to maintain our own Nigerian Airways that has been there over time? Government after government, nobody appears to bother about this. Talking about palliative, we'll be pampering the problem rather than solving the problem. We need to provide more means for air transport for Nigerians. Aside that, you are aware that the pressure on the airlines is because the roads are not safe. Nobody will want to travel by road. Ordinarily, so many persons, including my humble self, will enjoy a road drive from Abuja to Port Harcourt. But you cannot attempt it today because you are not sure that you will arrive. And so people are compelled even to go and borrow to pay airfare when they cannot afford it. Somebody who earns 150,000 naira a month as salary will want to fly with 350,000. And how is he going to make that possible? Because he doesn't want to die, he doesn't want to go by road. So we should also be talking about safety on the roads. The same issue of insecurity that we have talked about in this house. These are the multi-faceted phases of insecurity and the effect on the economy. So whilst I thank our colleague for bringing this issue up, but I think that we should look at the root cause of the problems, invite the relevant heads of the MDA. One of us have suggested that the Minister of Aviation should be invited. Yes, I agree completely. And then take more seriously this issue of insecurity as we discuss these matters and several other issues that will come up. we will still find the effects of insecurity playing out in them. And so I want to urge this House to look at these issues. We need to revamp our national carrier. We also need, as a matter of urgency, to fix the issues of insecurity to make our roads safer. Palliative will be trying to palliate the problem for now, not solving it. It's not a solution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So I think you are from...
My name is Sada Soli, representing GBI Kaita Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, it's a humanistic and people's-oriented motion, but it has its own challenges. I have never had anywhere in the world where airfare is subsidized by government, because the aviation industry is purely private business. Mr. Speaker, it's going to be very difficult to push this motion to fruition. Why? To give subsidy or to give palliative for airfare. Why do we start when there is high MRO, that's maintenance cost abroad for these airlines? We don't have hangars that maintains aircraft in this country. And then there is the issue of high airport and navigation charges in this country. If you look at the airfare at the end of your ticket when you book, you will see the diagnosis, or you will see the breakdown how the airfare is charged, and you will see how much money goes to the airline operator. You will see it clearly. Sometimes at a point when I looked at the diagnosis or the description how much it is, the airline operator ended up with around 45,000 naira out of 180 something thousand naira. Then you see, Mr. Speaker, we need to understand the issue of the general economic pressure within the industry. There is the issue of limited competition in the industry. There is the issue of high-cost airport leasing, high-cost aircraft leasing, high-cost aircraft leasing. If you go into the industry, or if you Google, you will see how much does it cost to lease an aircraft in an environment Nigeria. Then there is the issue of also the high cost of insurance because of the kind of environment these operators operate. So then how do you subsidize that kind of price, whereby the environment is so choked up, where the insurance will put a high premium? Any aircraft, any operator that is going to operate in Kaduna Airport, ask how much is going to be the insurance. Ask how much do they cost the insurance going to Sokoto. Ask what is the insurance going to Rivers. Ask what is the cost of insurance going to Kano. These are issues that are factored in the pricing. Then the issue of seasonal demand increases. We are now in the season where there is high demand of movement in our airports. Then, because it is business, because it is economics, the demand and supply. So there is that seasonal demand increases, which will definitely affect the fare. Mr. Speaker, we need to understand the infrastructure limitations in our airports. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the cost of aviation fuel is still very high in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Our own highly cerebral Speaker of the 10th National Assembly. I am Right Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka. I speak for the entire Nigerians and the good people of Ifo-Iwekoro Federal Constituency were so magnanimous to push me forward to do this. And on behalf of the entire Nigerians, Mr. Speaker, I just want to take a leave from your last submission. Perhaps many of my distinguished honorable colleagues who have spoken did not hear about the main prayer of this very motion. and I want to commend wholeheartedly the mover of this motion. Without any parochial sentiment, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree that we have market-based pricing signals, that we have legislative interference which is being brought to fore now, and seasonal dynamics. I want to align with what you have just submitted, Mr. Speaker, as the main prayer of this very all-important motion, and I want to commend the mover. You have just told us.
Let me guide from the chair.
Yes, sir.
That is not the only members go on notice. Because if you go on public importance sometimes, members don't have clear copies of the issues you are presenting. And it doesn't help their debate. So most time when I say go on notice, is to enable members know exactly what you are saying. Even when they are not hearing you, they'll be looking at the paper before them to avoid misinterpretation. Let me read you all the prayers of this motion. Number 1, establish a transparent assessment mechanism to create a system to determine the true minimum necessary operational cost for airline throughout the yellow-thread period. Number 2, provide targeted subsidy grant or palliative subsidy that bridge the gap between sustainable operational costs and accessible fare ceiling established for the public. All these things are subject to your amendment. Number 3, collaborate with the CBN to work closely to prioritize the allocation of foreign exchange at a good rate for airline operators. Number 4, to refer this motion to Committee on Aviation to interface with the airline operators and the executive branch and report back to the House within 7 days. These are his prayers, but I'm sure most of you don't have access to it because some public importance. So most time, if you're going to do public importance, also print enough to share to members. Over to you, so that you can argue from this point.
In any way, even just one of the prayers had actually encapsulated the intent and purposes of this very motion. That is, how do we bring succor to Nigerians who are going to travel or who always travel during the Yuletide, especially those that will be using the airlines. And without compromising safety and operational costs, there should be some sign of succor to the operators. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree wholeheartedly. And I want to tell us, my distinguished honorable colleagues, that many governors, especially where we have the rail lines, during Yuletide periods, they always provide either free or subsidized. But what about the areas where we don't have this facility of railway line? Are we saying that with the near precarious, with due respect, which the government of the day is trying to fix, but we are not yet there? So the airliners, we should not assist them to provide succor to them during Yuletide period? It is apt. This House should support these prayers. That even the federal government of Nigeria, I can remember even last year, even during Salah, during Christmas, the federal government always tell the citizens either to go and board railway lines for free. Do we have railway line from Lagos to Abuja? No. So now that we have airlines, why don't we now try and see how we can support, assist them to bring down whatever, to subsidize whatever. If you check the cost they are providing, you will see that less than 40% of the cost airliner will give you as your flight ticket, the 60% is always on operational cost. So we can as well try for this Yuletide period alone, support and assist them.
Thank you.
For safety purposes, if alone. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Access to aircraft, how they buy aircraft is very expensive. Number 2 is unfavorable lease terms when they buy this aircraft. Number 3 is the absence of local maintenance facilities. As one of the things causing problem, Number 4 is the pressure to source large forex. To source large forex is one of their concerns. You know, it is important also to note that the federal government has made efforts for the first time in 20 years. For the first time in 20 years, this administration, through national reform, has made it possible for international dry lessor to accept to come to Nigeria for the first time. And you know what that means? It means that they are getting aircrafts now 1/3 of what the usual price was. If this goes on, especially considering the Cape Town Convention on Aviation. So these are the things that should play in your mind. The more access to aircraft, the more competition in a free economy, the less the price. So that we'll direct our conversation. Please, Billy. After that, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Once again, our own quintessential speaker. As much as I do not have any intention to modify what the minority leader had, but it was not all
It has been voted on, so that is settled. His amendment has been voted on. You have any
so
further
my
amendments?
amendment to it is that urge the federal government to reduce the airport and other auxiliary charges by 50% during the festive period only.
Okay, one further amendment on that amendment. Any seconder to that? It's a further amendment on the amendment.
Only, sir. Thank you.
Okay, any seconder? I want to go to those at the back. Yes, at the back there. Please. We should urge state governments.
Yeah, we are encouraged, not us. Please permit me to change that word. Let's encourage state governments that can afford it to toe the line of Akwa Ibom.
Is aviation an exclusive list or concurrent list?
It's concurrent.
So it goes without saying that it's part of their responsibility.
We can remind them, Mr. Speaker. This House has a responsibility, sir, Mr. Speaker, to play the role of a mediator, even in business. But if we allow this to slip, we are gradually going into business terrorism. And we are calling on the state governments to be part of these efforts to cushion the effects on ordinary Nigerians.
The federal government doesn't have airline of the federal government. And we are urging the states to have airline. Does it have any responsibility to do with us? What? Any seconder to that? If there's a seconder, we'll put it to vote. Any seconder? No seconder. That is the much we can take with the amendment, and I'll just ask the question. Those in support of the motion as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to Committee on Aviation. Most distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is presentation of 2 reports of the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services. These reports are standing in the name of Honorable Bello Kauje. Honorable Kauje is invited to present the report. The floor is yours, Honorable Kauje.